All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Dobra. Trzeba lecieć dalej.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Dobra, spróbujmy jeszcze tutaj iść.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Nie. Idziemy prosto.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't 5 years ago.
A zobaczmy, jak to jest, tak chce spaść. Nium.
But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
O kurde. Czekajcie. Co to?
All of his co-workers were What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ciekawe. Zrobię tego rzut ekranu. Później sobie sprawdzę, o co chodzi. Najwyżej będziemy jeszcze raz robić to. Cicho.
Did it advance the story in any way? When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow. Yes. This room. What a beautiful room. What a gorgeous, gorgeous room. Thank goodness Stanley had taken, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Kurde, mogłem poczekać, bo coś nowego mówił. Dobra.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't 5 years ago.
Dobra, chodźmy tędy.
I think perhaps we've got
I tutaj.
foot here. I'm not your enemy, really I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story is... What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance. Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
Pójdźmy teraz w czerwone.
Oh, thank God you are willing to listen to me. Do you see that I really have wanted you to be happy all this time? The problem is all these choices. The two of us always trying to get somewhere that isn't here. Running and running and running, just the way you're doing right now. Don't you see that it's killing us, Stanley? I wanted to stop. We would both be so much happier if we just stopped. And I think I have a solution. Here, let me show you. What do we want? What are we looking for? Here. Yes. Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it? If we just stay right here, right in this moment with this place, Stanley, I think I feel happy. I actually feel happy.
Kurde. Ładne nawet, ładne. I ta muzyka taka... Aż może się zanurzyć w patrzeniu się na to wszystko. Ja to, odkąd pamiętam, marzę, żeby zobaczyć kiedyś zorzę polarną w Norwegii. Myślę, że coś takiego by mi właśnie dopisywało. Ładne, ładne. Ale wiecie co? Idźmy stąd.
No. Where are you going? Oh no. Stay away from those stairs. If you hurt yourself, if you die, the game will reset. We'll lose all of this.
Okej.
Good. We can't be too safe. Promise me you won't go back there. Just stay here.
Nie.
No. What do we talk about? You're risking everything we achieved here.
A mogę tam jeszcze raz wrócić? W sensie, żeby coś ciekawego powiedział, czy już nie? Nie. O.
You are going to stay here, aren't you?
Nie. Proszę mi wybaczyć.
Heard me before, didn't you? You will die. What about this isn't getting through to you?
Pora zrobić sepuku.
No, Stanley, let me stay here. Don't take this from me.
Nie. Fałszywe szczęście to nie szczęście. Narratorze. Adios.
No! Oh, thank God you lived. You had me worried there for a moment.
A chodźmy na chwilę.
Now, can we please get back to the other room?
Nawet ładnie, ale różowy to nie mój kolor. Przykro mi, narratorze. O. No tak multi, tylko taki rudy.
No. No, what are you doing, Stanley? Please, I'm asking you not to take this away from me. I can't go back to what I was before. If you die, we'll both go back. Why are you doing this? Stanley, let's go back to the other room. My God, is this really how much you dislike my game? That you'll throw yourself from this platform over and over to be rid of it? You were literally willing to kill yourself to keep me from being happy. Am I reading the situation correctly? Or maybe you're just getting a kick out of it. I don't know anymore. I just wanted us to get along. But I guess that was too much to ask.
No aż mi smutno.
You wanted to make a choice after all. Well, this one is yours. Is it over? It's going to restart, isn't it? I'm going back.
Smutno, smutno.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Okej, teraz pójdźmy... Kurde, nie wiem. A w lewo pójdźmy. Może coś jeszcze tutaj jest?
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Już wiem dwa zakończenia jakie są.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming new age music.
Ja już chwilę temu miałem końcową muzyczkę, bo nawet podobną.
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the open passageway.
No to nie tak, że teraz mogę stąd wyjść? Wiem, że jeszcze tutaj chyba jakieś zakończonko jest ukryte. Ja nie pamiętam za cholercie niestety co to było. Tu nic nie ma. O, wiem jakie tu jeszcze zakończenie jest, dobra. Jakby w ogóle było słychać szelesty, to wpierdzielam z takie małe rogaliczki. Więc...
Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar.
Sorka.
It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his
Trzeba się napić jeszcze wody.
Did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Dobra. Napite już tylko... O, stawię. Lecimy.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door
Tu już
of the
byliśmy.
red mind control facility.
Tutaj odcinek temu spadłem. Niestety w zwykłej wersji nie deluxe. Nie ma co z tym zrobić.
Enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he
Telewizory u góry.
to find out?
Dziwne. Dobra.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building. Stanley's co-workers.
Nasze miejsce
The
tutaj.
lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen. And Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
Never.
He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof, the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place.
A weźmy sobie
As
tutaj.
the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley
Dobra.
decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life.
Piątka.
For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Co teraz włączmy?
Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself? Is
Tak.
that what you wanted? Control?
I have control.
Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave.
Dobra.
If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say, 2 minutes. Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star.
Wal się,
It's your
narrator.
story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you
Nie ma
sit there in
nic.
your office forever,
Zobaczmy
pushing
tutaj.
buttons endlessly and then dying alone.
To samo.
Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp.
Tu coś jest niebieskiego.
Seems though, this version of events has been rather
Ty.
amusing. Watching you try to make
Widzę.
sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you
Albo nie.
was quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left.
Kurde.
I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock. Why not? These are precious
A tutaj jakbym wziął off?
Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where
za
you're
późno.
going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be
Ja nie zauważyłem tego przycisku.
one solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is?
O nie.
You're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley.
Good night, employee 497.
30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here, just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice.
Wszędzie jest to napisane.
Or don't. It's all the same to me.
Zdążę podejść chociaż?
And believe me, I will be
Tak.
laughing at every second of
Nie,
your inevitable
tak.
life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say happily ever up.
No i... Boom. Ej, znowu tutaj. Dobra. To lecimy dalej, no kurde, no co?
Just a step through this door, Stanley thought to himself, that's all I need. If I can make it through this door, I can
Fajna
make it through
motywacja.
them all. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Tu jakoś... O. I siup. Halo? A.
At first, Stanley assumed he'd broken the map until he heard this narration and realized it was part of the game's design all along. He then praised the game for its insightful and witty commentary into the nature of video game structure and its examination of structural narrative tropes. So, now that you're here, what do you think? Isn't this a fun and unique place to be? Why don't we take a minute just to drink it all in? Okay, I'm over it now. What do you think? Are you sick of this gag yet? Well, I don't know how to say this politely, but you could literally just hit escape and restart the game any old time you want. Like right now. You could have done it just then. Now would also be an appropriate time to quit. Any of these points and so many, many more, all of them are appropriate. I'm enjoying what seems to be an internal conflict going on where you are literally unable to act on your own desires to restart the game. So, just to push the envelope, I'm going to try and make this as miserable as possible and see how long you can maintain. There once was a man named
Stanley.
who people considered so manly. But the truth must be told, he was not very old and was quite particularly gangly.
Piękne.
What Stanley liked most was buttons. He pushed them like some kind of glutton. Did it all day in a meaningful way, but his brain had long ceased to function. Which is why he is in this parable. And lives an existence quite terrible.
Rule.
And if you are not strong and keep playing along, you too will become quite unbearable. You too will become quite unbearable.
Ładna jaskier tej gry. Aż się wzruszyłem. Bardzo. Jeszcze coś będziesz śpiewał, narrator? Czy mam wyjść? Dobre pytanie. Poczekajmy jeszcze chwilę. O Stanleyu, ty mały Błażeju. Nie, dobra, nie będę śpiewał, co? Bo się jeszcze wybaranie nieźle. Dobra. Jeszcze kilka sekundek. Coś jeszcze będzie, czy nie? Nie. Potem. O? A jednak? Czy nie? Nie. Rzeczywiście się skończyło. Narrator? Halo? Które to przerażające, nie powiem, że umilkło. Chyba tyle. Kurczę. No dobra, no to lecimy z kolejnym zakończeniem.
How wonderful. Stanley was alone. Finally. This is great, he thought to himself. This is what I've wanted all along. I got what I wanted. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
I siup.
At first, Stanley assumed he'd broken the map.
Teraz zobaczmy jak kliknenia.
And realized it was part of the game's design all along. He then praised the game for its insightful and witty commentary into the nature of video game structure and its examination of structural narrative tropes. So, now that you're here, what do you think? Isn't this a fun and unique place to be? Why don't we take a minute just to drink it all in? Okay, I'm over it now. What do you think? Are you sick of this gag yet?
Już ci klikam.
Then in that case, we'll continue. But now, here comes the real question. What do you think would have happened if you had told me that you wanted this to stop? Do you think it would have been particularly different? Would I have taken the same idea but rephrased it superficially to fit that answer? Perhaps you never would even have thought of it if I hadn't brought up the issue in the first place. Oh, now think about it. Will it be worth it for you to restart and then come back here just to do the other option? Clearly, this whole gag takes some time. What if the other option is even longer? How long will you spend in total just to have heard all the narration? Oh, and this is rich. Perhaps you've just played the other option, and now you've come to see what happens in this one. So, what do you think? Which choice was the better one? Imagine if you had selected continue on your first playthrough, how tantalizing it would be not knowing what happens when you pick the other option. Indeed, you are one of the lucky ones. Though if the other option is really miserable to listen to, then perhaps you're not. In fact, I'm just going to say that no one who's listening to this is lucky. Well now, I've built up the other option so much that I'm going to stop talking and leave you to your decision whether to come back here, continue with the game, or just sit in this spot forever. and ever. Cheers.
Cheers. Dobrze, no tutaj z tego co pamiętam rzeczywiście będzie cisza, więc zresetujmy sobie gierę. I zobaczmy jeszcze jakieś jedno może zakończonko.
Stanley's office was a distant memory. What did it look like? There was a computer, perhaps, and a painting. Was it a painting or a photo? He could no longer recall.
Nie no, komputer był, obraz był taki zielony chyba. Się teraz rozglądamy, o taki.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Okej, prawe.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was sublime, a work of art. What was it about this room that called so deeply and so personally to Stanley? Its grace? Its subtle charm? No. Stanley knew it was something deeper. Something darker.
Podoba mi się, że jest tyle tutaj różnych dialogów od pana narratora w tym pokoju. Dobra. He left. Dobra. Pędźmy tutaj. Ogólnie tak myślę. W tym odcinku bardzo dużo zrobiliśmy. No nie wiem, czy nie większość już. 2 zakończenia przez okienko, jak wyskoczyliśmy. Te kolorowe światełka. Zamordowanie się o tu. O tu. I nas wybuchło, nie? Więc mamy już 5 zakończeń. To jeszcze nam zostało jedno, które jestem pewny.
Your chance to redeem yourself, to put your work aside, to let her back into your life. She's been waiting. That's her.
Dobra.
Stanley. You need to be the one to do this, to reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in
Pick the
another,
phone.
then pick up the phone.
Dobrze. Odbiorę.
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha. Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here.
Poczekaj.
Sorry, but you're in my story now.
O kurde. Tego nie pamiętałem. Ale tego zakończenia nie pamiętam zbyt dobrze.
This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
Dzień dobry, pracowniku 427. Naciśnij U na klawiaturze.
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature
Smutne
of
trochę.
his existence.
Proszę nacisnąć 1.
Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life.
Proszę nacisnąć I.
But in his mind, in his mind he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful, and each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him.
Proszę nacisnąć RK, by oglądać TV.
And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly. So he went further. He imagined that he came to 2 open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold.
Nie powiem, nawet poetyckie trochę.
As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable.
O, mieliśmy te zakończenia.
It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time.
Proszę naśmiać 4, aby powiedzieć, że ją kochasz.
But there is no answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one.
Aby iść spać.
And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
Proszę nacisnąć Z, aby pojawić się rano w pracy.
You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself?
Aby nie zadać zbędnych pytań.
I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again.
Proszę umrzeć.
Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again. And Stanley pushed a button. And I
The end is never the end. No i znowu tutaj, no. Kurde, widzę, że już 34,5 minutki na stoperze. Więc będę tutaj się z wami żegnał. Przeszliśmy, już wam mówię, 6 zakończeń. Z czego nie wiem jak z tym tak zwanym kiss o podłogę, ale myślę, że to też jest zakończenie. I dało nam to 6 zakończeń. Myśmy już chyba przychodzili 7. Razem to już jest 13, więc jeszcze jeden odcinek się na pewno pojawi. Zobaczymy jakie jeszcze zakończenia, bo szczerze na tę chwilę nie umiem sobie przypomnieć jakie jeszcze były, szczerze. Najwyżej jeszcze tam urozmaicę jakiś taki bonusowy odcinek, bo wiem, że coś tam chyba jeszcze było do odkrycia. Że wam to pokażę, zademonstruję. Pewnie się to okaże w następnym odcinku, co i jak. Więc bez zbędnego już przedłużania, ja się z wami dzisiaj żegnam. Dziękuję za obejrzenie tego materiału. Mam nadzieję, że wam się spodobał. Jeżeli tak, to zostawajcie. Tak, zostawajcie na dłużej. Dajecie sobie łapeczkę w górę, mam nadzieję. To mnie na pewno uszczęśliwi, bo będę bardziej zmotywowany do tworzenia kolejnych materiałów na tym kanale. Zostawicie subika i dzwoneczek, bo dzięki temu będę wiedział, że chcecie tutaj być właśnie na więcej, na dłużej. No i tak. Tutaj się żegnamy i widzimy się już w środę. Dobrze ja to mówię? Nie, dzisiaj jest środa. Dobra, tego nie wiedziałem, że takie coś było. Albo nie pamiętałem. Więc Trzymajcie się cieplutko, widzimy się w piątek, bo dzisiaj jest środa. Więc na razie, trzymajcie się, cześć.